In the headlines, DASPA CEO urges strict adherence to protocols as Dominica records another 2 confirmed cases of COVID-19. A special team installed by the police with a focus on border protection. And the chairman of the Lubia Village Council floats the idea of upgrading to an urban council. I'm Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. 2 new cases of COVID-19 brings Dominica's total number of confirmed cases to 24. These 2 new cases are also imported. One is a 59-year-old female, the other a 35-year-old male.
These individuals have been in isolation since arrived in Dominica on September 5th as a result of positive rapid test on arrival. Subsequently, PCR testing was done to confirm. Currently, they are asymptomatic and admitted to the COVID facility. Contact tracing is ongoing. So far, 6 direct contacts have been identified from these 2 individuals.
In more top stories, a team of police officers has been installed to specifically curtail illegal entry into the country. The police has been appealing for the public support in their quest to protect Dominica's borders in light of COVID-19.
We continue to partner with the Customs and Excise Department in monitoring our borders. Those officers have very strict instructions to deal with anyone found illegally entering or leaving the Commonwealth of Dominica. And they will use every legal means necessary to deal with the offenders. I urge all of us to adhere to the warnings and advice given by the relevant authorities and the police. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force pledges its commitment to enforce the law of the Commonwealth of Dominica and will do whatever is practicable to prevent illegal entries into Dominica and to bring the perpetrators to justice.
Meantime, the Deputy Police Chief has issued a warning to those who refuse to be quarantined upon arrival in Dominica.
We have received reports that some people who have been placed in government quarantine at Portsmouth, pending the results, are conducting themselves in a disorderly manner. This behavior will not be tolerated and will be dealt with according to law. Let me inform these individuals that the law makes it mandatory that anyone coming into Dominica shall, on arrival, be quarantined for a period of 14 days or a period specified in writing by the Chief Medical Officer. Therefore, any person who fails to comply with these requirements to be placed in isolation, surveillance, or self-quarantine commits an offense. Ladies and gentlemen, these requirements were specifically put in place to prevent any spread of COVID-19 in Dominica. Let me remind you that from March to June 2020, Dominica embarked on drastic and necessary measures to include total lockdown with a view to preventing the spread of COVID-19 in Dominica. Dominica cannot afford to return to a similar situation, and we must make every sacrifice to ensure that we don't return to that period.
And the two men are now in quarantine after they were arrested by police. Deputy Chief of Police Davison Valerie says these arrests have come about with the support of citizens.
Other individuals whom the public had concerns about were checked and cleared. We are aware of the concerns of the public in relation to the individuals who were recently arrested. But we have been in pursuit of these two men for the past 48 hours.
CEO of the Dominica Air and Seaports Authority, Benoit Badwell, is appealing to those wishing to travel to Dominica to ensure their entry requirements are in order. Badwell warns a health clearance to travel is essential.
A copy of the notification of health clearance to travel must be presented to the airline agent or ship agent before travel to Dominica can be finalized. This requirement is mandatory and must be complied with. Without a notification of health clearance to travel, the traveler or passenger will not be allowed to travel to Dominica by sea or air. This requirement must be adhered to avoid inconvenience at the airport or seaport of the country that you're coming from. Too many times we have persons who seem not to follow the procedures as outlined, and what they do, they buy a ticket, they end up being stranded either in Puerto Rico, St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Martin, and they're told by the airline representative that they need that health travel approval notice. They can't present it, and then that creates a problem. And so that's why we are encouraging persons and we're reminding them that they need to confirm their travel arrangements only after a receipt of a notification of health clearance to travel is received from the Ministry of Health. Because that is, in fact, one of the biggest problems that we're experiencing with people flying to those various transit points, not having the requirements for entry.
Passengers going through Dominica's ports are expected to strictly adhere to certain protocols and guidelines.
Passengers are required to wear face masks or face covering at all times during the arrival process, up to and including departure from the airport. Passengers must observe physical distancing at all times, and they must practice good respiratory etiquette and personal sanitization. Passengers must follow all instructions of healthcare providers and other officials. In terms of the terminal, all persons seeking to access to the ports of entry will be subject to temperature screening. Passengers, travelers, or persons seeking access to the ports of entry who do not meet the temperature screening requirements will be referred to the health hotline personnel or secondary screening personnel where possible. Mask wearing at all the ports of entry will be strictly enforced. Face masks, face coverings will be required for all passengers, airport staff, airline staff, and all approved persons and other approved persons at all times. Failure to adhere to this notice may lead to delays at transit ports or disappointments, wherein passengers will not be able to board an aircraft or a vessel to travel to Dominica, irrespective of the country that they are originating from.
Since Dominica opened its borders on 15 July 2020, the Dominica Air and Seaports Authority has handled 298 flights and 1,317 passengers have arrived here. During that same period, 1,305 passengers have left the country through Douglas Charles and Canefield airports. An upgrade on the cards for the Lubia Village Council. Julian Morris has that story.
Recently elected chairman of the Lubia Village Council, Ainsworth Irish, is spearheading a move to upgrade the Lubia Village Council to an urban council. Irish believes the communities of Lubia, Wallhouse, Fontbaron and Castle Comfort meet the criteria to be advanced to an urban council.
I'm looking at in terms of making proposals and recommendations to government to move into an urban council. As you know, it has to go through an act of parliament where the government will decide whether, they will agree to that. We believe that Lubia, Wallhouse, Castle Comfort is a very affluent area, and of course I think it's sufficiently well fitted, if you will, to have what you call an urban council, where we will have an additional clout. We'll be able to pull in more members from the community, persons who can bring forward some good ideas.
The newly elected council also has plans of developing one of its sporting facilities severely affected by Hurricane Maria.
Some of the plans for the council is to see if we can upgrade the playing field. As you know, the playing field suffered tremendously from the ravages of Hurricane Maria. And of course, the council has some funds which was donated by a company that occupied the playing field to store their material. But that is insufficient to really develop the playing field to a standard that we really want to make it look very lucrative. So we have engaged the PAL rep, which is Mistress Hippolyte from Shakira Hippolyte in Newtown. And she's agreed to speak to the government in terms of helping us to upgrade the playing field, to have lighting done, and to bring it to a certain standard.
Apart from the playing field, the council has plans which will positively impact all communities which fall under the village council's purview.
One of the things we want to see in the community is the level of cleanliness. As you know, cleanliness is next to godliness. So what we want to do is to empower the people to understand that if you keep your community clean, you will have healthy surroundings. I mean, taking into consideration the global pandemic and what has been happening, if you can keep, have that wellness and that kind of healthy living, that in itself can help to upgrade things. We're looking at lighting the various hamlets, because lighting, of course, is a form of security, and we want to make sure that we can enhance the place and beautify the place. So these are some of the things that the council will embark upon in the not too distant future.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid. But there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Welcome back. As the hurricane season intensifies, residents of a special disaster area are concerned about a nearby river and the potential devastating impact on the community. Paradise Valley in Bath Estate is one of the several communities declared a special disaster area after Tropical Storm Erica in 2015. The bridge which linked the community to Emsall was destroyed, and the severe flooding highlighted the need for river walls for the community. As it stands, residents have to leave during times of natural disaster, and the river wall and bridge construction projects have not yet been tackled. Public Relations Officer of the Bathurst State Disaster Management Committee, Gloria Walsh, says discussions have been underway on how to better protect the community and its residents from the devastating impact of natural disasters, but a project start date has not yet been given.
With the Paradise Valley area, well, we know they must move. They must move. Once the authorities say they have to move, they know already because we updated the names we usually get from the shelter, and then we pass it on to the local government, the local government, so they can see where we are in terms of the different persons that live in, especially those living in the Paradise Valley area. Well, Paradise Valley, I think the experts, they know, ODM, local government have done surveys, Red Cross, and I think a wall and also a bridge. But I think the government have plans, as they said, they have plans to do some work in the area, in the Paradise Valley area.
The Ministry of Education is advising all schools and educational institutions to utilize the guidelines for the reopening of schools. Students went back to school this week after months at home, but education officials say there has been significant disruption in the functioning of the country's education institutions. The Ministry of Education has developed a plan with guidelines and protocols as a tool for the effective and efficient reopening and continuation of school.
We expect that once we have circulated these guidelines, all stakeholders are expected to support the implementation of these guidelines within their schools and under the terms of the existing management and supervision frameworks within the Ministry of Education. And we are doing this in conjunction with the Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment and other relevant authorities. And as we are moving along, we expect that there will be continuous assessments and reporting on the adherence of these guidelines.
The new guidelines focus on hygiene to include hand washing, respiratory etiquette, cleaning procedures for facilities, and safe food preparation practices.
These guidelines are specific to education. And the core recommendations are in the area of health and safety. The protocols are considered in 4 categories. Protocols before the opening of schools, protocols during school hours, protocols to be observed after school, and individual protocols. The protocols are categorized and based on the school public, for students, for teaching staff and principals, for auxiliary staff, that is cleaners, caretakers, security personnel, parents and guardians, and visitors to learning institutions. And the basic measures are physical distancing, hand washing, the wearing of masks, and staying home if one has any acute respiratory infection.
There are expectations of the students outside and inside the school's compound.
We expect that students on their way to school must wear a mask. Whether you're walking to school, you're taking a public transportation, buses, students must wear a mask. And we are encouraging parents to provide masks for their children or their wards. On entering the school gates, there will be someone to sanitize their hands. Then they will follow the direction of the staff. In small schools, we are encouraging a general assembly because in many schools there is sufficient space for physical distancing to happen. In some cases where the school population is too big for General Assembly, students will be ushered straight to their classrooms where they will be sanitized again and prepared for their lessons. In General Assemblies, we expect that whether it is teachers or principal, they will continue to inform students of the behavior change, and they will inform them of what is expected of them.
And the senior fisheries officer is stressing the importance of cooperatives to local fisherfolk. Julian Morris tells us more.
Norman Norris was addressing the latest cohort of participants in the 42nd Basic Fisherman's Training course. Norris explains to those in the industry that they can reap better rewards when they approach a problem as a group instead of individually.
Absolutely. This is what we have promoted from the start, and this is actually how NAFCOP came on board, the National Association of Fisherfolk Cooperative. It's the amalgamation of 11 or 12 or 13 different fisheries cooperatives, and this is what we're promoting because it's impossible, it's difficult, and I wouldn't do it if I had 20 fishermen come to me and each person asks for boat and engine. That's just impossible. But if you form groups and co-ops, each co-op can at least have 2 or 3 or 4 and be able to circulate among the membership and utilize it and grow.
The senior fisheries officer criticized the mentality of some fisherfolk who only focus on their individual trade and urged them to be more open-minded towards the idea of growing as a group.
The individualistic and territorial attitude or habit of fishers have to change to cooperativism, to group development, and this is one again of the modules that we promote here, and to working together. The togetherness is important. It's not just about you and I, me and my. It's we, it's us, it's our. It's all of us country, so we must come together, whether it's leathercraft, whether it's fishing, whether it's, again, like I said, doctors and lawyers and other organizations and so on, food handlers, all organizations and groups, like you vendors, everybody coming together. This is what we need the fishers to do. Stop operating by yourself because you can only do so much. But as a group, you have a much bigger voice.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid. But there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. DASPA CEO urges strict adherence to protocols as Dominica records another 2 confirmed cases of COVID-19. A special team installed by the police with focus on border protection. And the chairman of the Lubia Village Council floats the idea of upgrading to an urban council. Feel free to access or pass the newscast on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Andrea Louis. And to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.